So in 2020, I had some trepidation about doing a podcast in this movie. I didn't want my listeners thinking I was capitalizing on the current world situation. Actually, I thought about doing something on this weeks ago to talk about the start of a genre that this movie created, tech noir, or like the scientific or science fiction version of film noir. Of course, we're talking about the third in Charlton Heston's science fiction trilogy of the 1960s and 70s, Soylent Green. Now, as we all remember, Charlton Heston had big success in the Planet of the Apes series, the first and second movie. Second movie is not considered a Charlton Heston movie because it just had a glorified cameo in the last, half hour, and Mega Man as well. Now, this movie, which is directed by Richard Fleischer and co-stars the great Edward G. Robinson and the beautiful Lee Taylor Young in the key roles, besides, of course, Charlton. It's a dystopian thriller, and it's loosely based on the 1966 science fiction novel Make Room by Harry Harrison. Now, it's a what you call a police thriller and a science fiction thriller, and it details the investigation into the murder of a wealthy businessman, played by the legendary member of the Orson Welles group, Joseph Cotton, and talks about a dystopian future where dying oceans and the heavy pollution leads to year-round humidity due to what has been called for decades the greenhouse effect, and result in every place in the world looking like polluted New York City. Now, this film was filmed in 1973, and it details the year 2020. And the term Soylent Green refers to um, the type of foodstuff that is being processed, and they're saying it's plankton from the sea, but we quickly find out as it goes on that Soylent Green is not what it appears to be. I'm not no spoilers here. You have to see by yourself. Now, because of the overpopulation and pollution, there's shortage of food, water. There's daily what do you call food booths or food give outs. Now, by the show statistics, there's 40 million people in New York City alone, which kind of doesn't make any sense because you think a future population would use birth control better, but it's science fiction. Uh, and like any top and bottom system, the elite in the city can afford spacious apartments, clean water, natural food, which is in short supply, even though it's at enormously high prices. Like strawberry, I think is $100 a jar, and meat is barely can be found. Now, the two key characters for me, of course, is Heston, who plays the New York City Police Department Frank Thorne, and he's the best friend who is at the end of his life, Saul Roth, who's a book. He translates some of the information that Heston puts together. It doesn't really say why they're living together. It's more like a grandfather grandson relationship. For some people back in the day, they were saying there was kind of gay overtones. I really don't see it. There were some gay writers or gay print writers in the 70s said it was literally a gay father-son relationship. I don't see this at all because would Edward G. Robinson choose someone, as potentially dangerous as Charlton Heston? If I was going to be married to a man or living with a man, I wouldn't be married to somebody who was a cop because I would want, my husband to not see murder on a regular basis. It would be too stressful, just like a woman not wanting to marry a male cop, But anyway, that's a different thing altogether. Um, Soylent is the name of the company that put Soylent Green together, and they control half the food supply of the world, including some other products called Soylent Red and Soylent Yellow. Now, they're really promoting Soylent Green a lot, saying how nutritious it is and how it's a really a better product than anything else. But as the process goes on, when Joseph Cotton character is murdered, Charlton Heston is brought in to investigate, and that's when he meets up with the Lee Taylor Young character, who was sort of like the paid paramour of Joseph Cotton. How it works in the future, and this is the most anti-feminist and anti-woman movie you'll probably ever see. Women are prostitutes in the future mostly, and referred to as furniture. hotel or apartment or a condo, the women come with it. And Lee Taylor Young at the time, I think she was still married to Ryan O'Neal, if memory serves, one of the most beautiful young actresses of her generation. She's so beautiful, the whole plot of the movie is distracting. Because the first moment she comes on her screen with her puffy Marilyn Monroe lips and her long hair, and she's demeaned, she's calmly. I mean, a lot of people got, when they saw the movie, they didn't go to see the movie for Charlotte Heston, they went to see it for her. I mean, the women looked up to her too because she was a great style of the time even though she didn't become a huge star. I mean, this movie kind of put her on the spot as one of the 1970s ingenues that, like Blythe Danner and people like that who were getting a lot of recognition. Now, the Edward G. Robson's character, in real life, he was dying. And in the movie, we know he's on his last days. But what was ironic in the performance of Edward G. Robinson, he was pretty well deaf when he did these scenes, and it didn't come out till later. And his performance is very measured because how this works, there's three major plot movers in this movie. Obviously, Charlton Heston, because he's the lead actor, the investigator. Roth, who's sort of like, the gumshoes assistant that drives an elite Taylor Young character, because she brings up empathy for women in the way she knows her role when Charlton Heston basically is sleeping with her just because she's furniture. He starts getting great affection for her. It doesn't go all the way from the feminist level. He's taking this woman out of bondage, which what she is in. But it shows how in the future this will all put together. But see, the biggest plot twist, again, I don't want to give away spoilers, it involves a visit by the Joseph Cotton character before he dies to a blind priest. And the blind priest is told certain things that Joseph Cotton has found about the real way the food Soylent Green is being produced. And if you already know the plot, I'm not going to say it for the people. I want people to see this movie. It's a very quick 2 hours. It feels almost like a Canadian kind of Cronenberg style movie. The cinematography is very strong. The plotting is very strong. The supporting characters, including Sid Wilowski of Star Trek fame, who plays a main character that helps translate some of the books that Clint Eastwood's character finds, and then Edward G. Robinson can translate. He gets Celia Roth and her, co-workers to find out. Um, the only distraction in the whole movie, Dick Van Patten, who's more of a comedy actor, he plays an important character role late in the movie, and Chuck Connors, who I've never really enjoyed as a dramatic actor, plays the negative foil towards Charlton Heston. He's sort of the security guard for the Cotton character, who may have been part of the plot to murder him. Overall, the movie's 3.5 stars out of 5. I never liked it on first release, but as the years have gone by, I've really understood. The music by Fed Byro is very strong. Again, like I said, cinematography by Richard H. Klein, very strong. And this is probably the start of the MGM science fiction, what you call explosion of the 70s, which I think also included um, Rollerball, I think, as well. And I'm going to be talking about Rollerball in a future podcast as well. I love Rollerball. James Caan, tremendous performance, and you know uh, Jonathan DeChant. So if you have a chance to watch it, Soylent Green shows up on TCM quite often. It shows up on Hollywood Suite in Canada. The DVD has extra either scenes or extra documentaries because MGM at the time would do 15 to 20-minute documentaries on their big show. I know Logan's Run as well, a few others. But this is probably the last great vestiges of MGM before the bizarre, United Artists conglomerate and all that. Anyway, so again, Edward G. Robinson should have been nominated for Best Supporting Actor for this. Don't know why. Lee Taylor Young never became the big star, but she's luminous in this show. And it could be more exploitive. You never show her naked, even though there's several naked scenes, because it's well known the fact that Charlton Heston has done nude scenes before Planet of the Apes, the famous women scene. So if you like Charlton Heston, a woman as an actor, Charlton Heston is partially naked in this movie, so that could be a draw as well. Very tall drink of water. But the whole movie itself, it's like it feels like film noir police procedural science fiction has got everything. And like I said, the opening scenes, like the way it's edited, talking about the world was like and what the world is now, was quite interesting. It's similar to Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid when you have that mid-movie travelogue scene with the sepia photos. It's quite interesting. So on this Friday, we thank everybody for hitting my podcast channel. We're almost hitting 66,000 page views so far. So hope to find you well. Have a good day. Bye.